Psalm 46. God is our fortress. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. Selah. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Selah. The reformer Martin Luther in 1529 wrote a hymn out of the Psalm 46. It's called "A Mighty Fortress is Our God." Luther declared victory through Psalm 46 and his hymn to bring reformation of the corruption of the governing church body and deception of truth. This psalm conveys messages of faith from verses 1 to 3. It describes the greatness and God of power. Now verses 4 to 7 describes God in the midst of his presence. And lastly, verses 8 to 11 contains the comfort and peace that God provides. In this psalm, the author repeats 3 times that God is our refuge and fortress. Verse 1, refuge and strength. Verse 7, the Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our fortress. And lastly, verse 11, it repeats again, God of Jacob, our fortress. Psalms are great books to explicitly hear the greatness of God, the truth be declared and heard and accepted. And there's no too much of hearing these reminders, so let's be attentive to God's voice this morning. First truth that I find is that God is our refuge and strength, verses 1 to 4. There are several descriptive words of things in the world that are known to be unchanging, stable, and powerful. Verses 2 to 3 reads for us, mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. These are some powerful imageries. But what does the author say? God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, that's a very, very important word here. Therefore, we will not fear. Very explicit confession here. The logic is this. This is a nice turkey dinner that I will be eating tonight. Therefore, I will not be hungry. Who is God to you? Is he truly your strength? Is he your present help? If we do not go to God for help, he's not really our present help and strength. He's known as refuge and fortress, but not certainly that I need him. And I have an issue with that. That is when our confessed theology and operational theology has some discrepancies. If God is our strength, we must seek for his help. That is what it's called, humility. The second truth that I find in this psalm is that God is in our midst. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. Now, this God of strength and power, our help and refuge, is in the midst of us. This is the most gracious part. If your father, for example, is a billionaire, but you're not living with him, or in fact you don't have any contact with him, then there's no point in telling that your father is a billionaire. It's a myth. However, our God, who is the refuge and strength, is God of Emmanuel, the God with us. This God is my God, and He is with me, and that's what makes it different. And the last truth that I find here is that God, is the Lord of hosts. God of hosts is same as heavenly hosts. It means armies, referring to the Lord's army. So He's the Lord of the armies, referring to the army of angels, Yahweh, God of hosts. So our God is in full control, sovereign, almighty, has authority, surpassing power. So what about this God? Well, if my God is the Lord Yahweh of all the armies, that means that the victory is always in Him. Verse 9, He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Now what? Be still and know that I am God. Automatically, He wins. Automatically, He is exalted among the nations and in the earth. God's people who considers God as their fortress can be still and simply open your eyes and see how God claims victory in your life. Isaiah 40:31 says this, But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This morning, please, if you can, as I reiterate the three truths, proclaim this boldly with me. That number one, God is my refuge, my strength, and my help. Number two is that God is with me all the time. And lastly, the Lord of hosts tells me to be still. And let us be the people of God who are soaring with the wings like eagles, running but not being weary, walk but not fainting. God bless you all.